Hey everyone, welcome to Ask Nutrition is Deepa's podcast episode. And today, what we are going to explore on this episode is how the collaboration between the community garden helps reduce the food insecurity by working with the food pantry and by providing access to healthy fresh fruits and vegetables. And to explore that topic, I have the two masters in that space. One is Diane Renner, who is the executive director of Mary Wilkinson's Food Pantry in Aurora, Illinois, and Rob, I call him our master gardener, but this is Rob Vaughan, who has been handling the garden. And I welcome both of you and thank you for your time.
Hi, Deepa. It's glad to be here.
And Rob is with Charity Blooms. He started Charity Blooms.
I'm sorry. Yes, Rob is a founder of Charity Blooms. In my mind, that master gardener is stuck so badly that I cannot associate Rob with anything else, including his own organization, Charity Blooms, that he started. So, so Diane, I'm going to start with you. Please tell us a little bit about who you are, what you do, and why you do it.
Oh, okay. Well, sure. Thank you, Deepa, for having us today. And like Deepa said, my name's Diane Renner, and I'm the executive director of the Mary Wilkinson Food Pantry. Been here for 11 years now. Can't believe it's been that long. It flies by very, very fast. We have two pantries in Aurora, one on the east side and one on the west side. And our pantry is open to anyone, even outside of Aurora. We do not turn anyone away. We have grown tremendously since I first started here, and in 2014, our alderman came to us and asked us to start a community garden, which I knew nothing about at all and really didn't want to learn too much about it. So I partnered with Rebuilding Together Aurora, who got garden architects and developers and volunteers to take this wonderful space that is really City of Aurora space that we rent from them for $1 a year. And Rebuilding Together took the plan of making the grass open space into a community garden.
Amazing. So you started that in 2014,
yes.
And then you met Rob?
We did. We met in 2018. And I don't know how we even operated for 4 years without him. Rob has been a real godsend to our pantry and to our garden and to our gardeners and to our guests who come here and get to experience and have all of the wonderful produce that continues to grow each year to distribute to our pantries. And Rob, you want to tell them how we met?
Yes.
Of course. We, like she said, we met back in 2018, and my organization, Charity Blooms, and the and Diane from the Food Pantry had both received grant funding from the Kiwanis in Aurora, and we were invited to a grant recipients luncheon, and we each spoke about our organization and kind of what we do at that event. And afterwards, we said, you know, we really need to talk. And she had mentioned that she had a property that needed some help, and we were looking for new opportunities and more land. So I immediately after came to the food pantry, and we talked for a couple hours, and it was probably February, I believe. And the property was, let's say, in ruins, to be nice. And
thank you, Rob.
I'm just saying, it was February, so it's not your fault.
I know. No, it was in ruins.
Pretty bad. And it was almost all grass. It was not maintained. I mean, we all have a common issue with, you know, trying to find volunteers and to manage programs like this, but it's something that we specialize in and something that Diane definitely needed some help with. So we bonded immediately, and she gives me free reign over what to do here at the farm, and I don't interfere with the food pantry, and together we provide a massive amount of fresh food to the community. So
it's amazing. And by the way, those of you who are watching, Rob is sitting in that garden right now. And as you can see, oh my God, this is amazing.
Those are potatoes.
That's right. Those are the potatoes. Yes, of course. and we have tons and tons of Swiss chard growing, and I do my due diligence, and every few days I would pick like 5-6 stalks and I use it. But the rate at which the Swiss chard is growing, we need some Swiss chard enthusiasts to come and pick it up. So this is right here. You can see the power of collaboration. And Rob, can you just tell us how much produce you have produced since you joined the garden? And then Diane, you tell us what you guys do with the produce.
That's a great question. And we, depending on the year, it's been a wild 4 years, and we all know what we've been through. And, the very first year we were here, we had to sort of build from nothing. And we've gotten pretty good at it. Not a whole lot of us have any experience in agriculture or farming. So we've had to learn a lot. But in with 3.5 years now, we've produced and donated a little over 8,000 pounds of produce for the food pantry. And that, to be clear, I mean, that is literally from the dirt to the food pantry. There's nothing in between. Diane gives me keys to the food pantry to make her life easier. And I literally put it in a wheelbarrow and I stick it right in the cooler for them, and it goes out the next day. So it is as close to, farm direct as you could possibly get. And I'm extremely excited to say that as of today, I have a team of harvesters coming out, and we're going to reach a milestone of 3,000 pounds for this year alone for the food pantry. So it's really, really amazing. And like I said, we're probably about 500 pounds already ahead of last year. So every year it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And I would bet we're going to finish off this year somewhere between 3,500 and 4,000 pounds. So what we're doing here is making just an unbelievable impact on the community, and really what it means to be working with a food pantry, because sometimes the people shopping there are the ones that need it the most. And we're really, really, really glad to be helping that process.
Absolutely, that is just amazing. So then, Diane, by the way, viewers or listeners, the community garden is exactly opposite of the food pantry. That makes this collaboration even more merrier, because there's literally no car involved, no gas involved. So it's a very sustainable, it's very green solution. Everything that you can ideally look for in the community and food, the social cause of assisting with food insecurity and access to fresh food. So, okay, Diane, you get all these tomatoes and squashes and herbs and potatoes and lettuces. What do you do with it?
Yeah, well, first of all, I want to say that when you think of garden, you think of tomatoes, green peppers, lettuce, onions, but this is really an urban farm. And I had to get over that concept too of garden to urban farm, because it really is a true farm. And it's not just tomatoes and cucumbers and zucchini. And it includes beets and leeks and onions and carrots and
let's not forget garlic. Those watermelons.
Well, I haven't seen those.
Yes, I saw one today. There are watermelons growing. And then Rob, you might want to tell us what is happening next door to the pantry. I mean, to this plot. So Diane, okay, sorry, go on.
Yeah, that's okay. And I mean, even sunflower seeds. I mean, this is truly a farm, and I don't believe there's anything that's edible that isn't being grown in that garden, down to edible flowers.
Yes.
So, it's always a nice surprise to see what he has harvested, or what the farm has harvested in the evening, and it comes over to the pantry, and a lot of times it's been washed and cleaned and weighed and just ready for us to start sharing it with our guests that come. And our guests are always thrilled with every single item that's coming into our pantry.
Yeah, and now Rob is walking into the greenhouse.
The greenhouse.
Yes.
Which, Rob, how much of this has been grown from seed?
Oh man, this year we planted approximately 8,000 seedlings started in that little greenhouse. Yes. So we've learned to be incredibly efficient. And I mean, keeping in mind, we have no utilities on this property. When we first started this project, there were 5 houses on this property alone. So They strip back all the electrical, the water, everything. So we're working off water tanks, which are up here behind me. We're working off solar power, which is up on our barn. All this, kind of plays into the bare necessities needed for what we're doing here. But of those, probably about 4,000 to 5,000 went into the ground. I mean, it was an amazing accomplishment for the volunteers here to plant that many seeds and keep them alive in that greenhouse.
That's perfect. And the other thing about that since I met Rob, which was just last year, or I don't know, maybe it's 2 years, who is I can't seem to keep track of time. And Diane, I know her for a while now, but I noticed that we started some exotic herbs, and some of the plants like moringa, which I have never seen grown in cold weathers. And Rob has been successful in growing those unique plants, which of course helps us increase the diversity of the plants and soil and everything. Not to mention the composting that happens.
Right. And we're expanding our composting.
Yes.
Rob had done some research and found a couple of different companies that we've talked to at length about their products. And we have purchased a commercial composter that is going to be used both from the garden waste and any waste that we have from our other resources, so that we're not throwing food away. Also, of course, it's food that we would not want to consume. It's either been broke or it's badly bruised or something. And we have purchased a commercial composter that's supposed to be arriving, gosh, I think September, October. And we're really thrilled about that because within 24 hours, we could have fresh compost that will then be transported via wheelbarrow back into the garden.
Wow. So this is all coming to a full circle. And Rob, you just showed us just one part of the treasure. We know there are 2 other lots hiding behind you. Our fruit orchard. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Oh, of course. We have an amazing relationship with Mike Savell, the alderman here, who started this project. It was sort of his brainchild. And he had another property in mind after he had seen what we were doing with this one, which happens to be 2 houses down. And to backtrack just for a minute in time here, when I had gotten here in 2018, this really was a community garden by definition, in that we had private renters who were gardening here as well. So I managed half the property, which we farmed for the food pantry. The other half was privately rented by the community. The whole property here is about a half acre. So perhaps out of ambition or stupidity, I'm not sure, we decided to increase our project here to another 1/4 acre, which was 2 houses away. And our private renters, our community gardeners, now have their own property. So that property is gated and locked where they can come and go as they please. And now this half acre is entirely farmed for the food pantry. That other property also houses our new orchard, as you spoke, which is 20 fruit trees. Was something that we had purposely not included in our plan for this property, specifically because we work with a lot of young children and adults with disabilities. So bees always come with fruit, and we always felt that they were a liability and didn't want to bring that to this very, very safe property. So we decided to include that, what we call orchard, over on that other property, being in close proximity, but within a safe distance. So next year already, the food pantry is going to start to receive fresh fruit in addition to all of the vegetables that we bring out of this other property.
That is just amazing. And the one thing I want to then ask both of you is, how can a person like me, a regular individual, can help this social cause and do my due diligence in contributing back to the community? Because I have been working with you guys, and the amount of pleasure and the happiness and gratitude and the grounding that happens on a personal level is something, it's an experience in itself, and I just want to share that with others as to how can other people help you guys?
I
Diane,
guess
you
I'll
go
go first.
first.
So it's a great question, and it depends on the time of year. Out here at the farm, we run pretty much, I'd say, February through October. This time of year, we desperately need harvesters. I could show you probably 50 pounds of vegetables that are rotting in the dirt right now because we don't have the volunteers to help us. We've had roughly 250 volunteers so far this year, which is an astounding number of people. Many of which are skilled, most of which are not. Many of us don't know what we're doing. We don't have a clue. But anyone with any ability or any skill whatsoever is welcome to come out. We welcome anyone, all ages, abilities. I mean, there's always something to do, whether it's weeding or harvesting. I mean, this is all for the community. We want everyone to be involved and everyone to take part in what we do. For my group, we just ask people go to charityblooms.org, which is my website. There's a volunteer page on there that would tell you everything you need to know about helping out. We have a schedule posted of when we're out here, so the newer volunteers can pair up with someone knowledgeable that has an idea of how we work and where things are. After that, we just allow our volunteers to come and go as they please. We give them the gate code, and some like to come in the morning to harvest, some like to come in the evening to weed. But we just say, come and help. Anything any amount of time you can bring and help out is super important. And maybe it's one less plant that's rotting. We need all the help we can get.
Absolutely.
Bob does have an amazing website that he manages himself as well. And if you want to learn more about what he does, he's got a beautiful blog page, and you can get carried away looking at all of the history of his blogging that he does on that. And it really is an amazing site.
It is quite a story. I appreciate that. Thank you, Diane. But the blog she's referring to goes back to the very first, I think the very first time we were out here, the original pictures of what we started with. And it's sort of a chronological story of everything we've done out here. Most of the groups we've had out here, it's really, really fun to watch and see back in time as to how we got to the point we're at now.
And that's really the only way that you can go and learn about him. He does not have a Facebook page, but if you go to charityblooms.org, it's just full of wonderful information, including his monarch butterfly station that he's been able to harvest. How many butterflies this year, Rob?
So we do have a monarch breeding program here, and this is the first year that we have reared and released monarch butterflies for their vacation to Mexico for the winter. Actually, this past Saturday, we tagged and released 4 of them. I, believe it or not, have 3 of them here with me tonight, which are about to be released with the new harvesting group. And another fun part of the website is we have their tracking information on my website now, on the monarch page, so you can actually look and see if any of them made it to Mexico. Just one more thing I don't have time for, let me tell you.
And one other thing, Rob said that harvest, things are going into the dirt and rotting, but that's really not rotting either, because we are composting. All of that. And that's what's going to happen with the fruit trees too next year. Anything that's on the bottom, on the ground, that's been bruised and not edible will go into the compost.
Absolutely. I mean, there's just so much to learn. Starting from you open the gate and walk in, and just the variety of variety of plants, and even the air smells and feels so different, even though it is just right off the street. As you walk inside the property, you can just feel the stress, and it just starts to melt away. And I think by involving ourselves in initiatives like that has a function which goes beyond just materialistic things. It just calms you down, balances your hormones, and that's what it is all about. And not to mention, you end up meeting like-minded people, so more gets done, and
that is so true, Deepa. I mean, on any given night, you have no idea who you're going to meet out here. Exactly. There have been days where I've been, up to my knees in weeds or harvesting, and all of a sudden there's people wandering through the property. Yes. And we may not know who they are, but they're here to help. And we dinners out here at the amazing kitchen that we put up. Right. It's a very social space. It is meant to be a community gathering place. You find new friends out here. You learn new things out here. Maybe
Yeah.
you didn't know how to grow tomatoes. Maybe I'll teach you. Maybe you'll teach us something. But you know, the whole environment out here is really about, like you said, meeting like-minded people, learning from each other, growing from each other. And we really encourage everyone to come out and just experience what it's like out here, because, you know, from the street, you'd have no idea what it's like in
Yeah.
here. Until you walk through the gate, it's really something special.
Yeah, it really is like walking into paradise. All of a sudden, you
Yes.
do see butterflies, not just monarch, all kinds of butterflies.
Yeah.
And you're kind of thrilled to see everything that's growing. And then you hear the birds. I mean, it is just
And the
so,
chickens.
The chickens.
yeah, and the chickens. It's just such a beautiful, different atmosphere over there.
You know, and then when we have our dinners, you know, the fundraising dinners and everything, that's the ultimate. On the perfect day, weather is good, food is all made from the produce that has been grown in the garden. I mean,
Mhm.
how lucky we are that in the middle of this urban sprawl, we have access to a urban farm / community garden,
Right.
whatever we want to call it. And I'm so grateful that somehow, I don't know how our paths crossed, but they crossed,
Yes.
and that was one of the best thing that happened to me. And I hope our listeners get this opportunity, and please volunteer. And you know, you don't have to volunteer just to do the garden work or the you know, if you have IT experience, if you have marketing experience, if you have cooking experience, if you have nutrition related experience, there's so every skill can come in handy when you are in a situation, or when you are in touch with people like Diane and Rob. And on that note, I want to thank both of you.
Thank you.
And I will see you guys soon. And Rob, thanks again for everything that you do.
Thank you. If I could, I have one more thing I'd like to mention.
Yes, please.
This is we have a big event coming up on October 23rd. It's a Saturday before Halloween.
Okay.
Charity Blooms was able to acquire enough funding to donate 500 pumpkins to the kids in Aurora. So go to charityblooms.org, and you can register for early entry in the best selection. But we're having a little bit of a fall fest. So we're going to have face painting. We've got popcorn and donuts, and it's going to be completely free for the community. But 500 pumpkins to donate is really something amazing that, you know, just one other example of the impact we're having on our community over here. So please go register and come out and have fun with us.
That's
Deepa,
right.
I also wanted to thank you for meeting with Rob and I earlier this year, and we were drafting out the Healthy University.
Correct.
And unfortunately, we didn't get it all done this year, but we certainly will target that for 2022.
Absolutely.
And we'll be working on that early, and
we will
make sure
we will
that
work
do
on that early, and hopefully COVID will be
Yeah.
behind our you know, in the past. And I mean, there's so much we can do. We are planning, and like even for the October the pumpkin event, I have promised Rob that I'm going to show him what to do with the pumpkin, from, you know, from with the skin, the inside of the pumpkin, the seeds, everything. So I still have that on my calendar. I'm looking forward to coming down to the farm kitchen and working with pumpkins. So
thank you so
it's all
much
good.
for highlighting us today.
No
We're
problem.
flattered, I
Okay.
promise.
This was long
First
overdue,
of
I
many.
must say. All right. Thank you, guys. See you
Okay,
soon.
thank you. Right.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.